Welcome back to Boy Party, the podcast about movies where two major stars shared the screen. This week we're discussing Jessica Chastain and Anne Hathaway, two of the most acclaimed Academy Award winning actresses of their generation, starring together in a little movie called Mother's Instinct. This is Boy Party. Every week we discuss movies that give audiences two for the price of one on Legends of the Silver Screen, delving into dueling star personas, ultimate quest for box office, Oscars, and cinematic dominance. And we discuss actors of all genders from week to week because girls are invited to the Boy Party. It's a girl party this week. I'm Lucian, and I'm joined by Shane.
Good evening.
And we are here to discuss a girl party movie called Mother's Instinct.
Fresh off the press.
This movie is in cinemas tomorrow, Wednesday, 27th of March. Mm-hmm. We've just seen it, and we are giving you our first ever Boy Party new release.
If you're familiar with our immediately post-film podcast, you'll remember our last one took place in Supermax on O'Connell Street.
Well, that was one. Another one took place in Chili Shack in Galway after Hobbs and Shaw. Mm-hmm. We've done a few pretty good ones, so this is our latest. And we've seen a film that, to my surprise, does earn an upbeat post-film.
We had to contain our commentary on the train home, which is a good sign.
That's a good sign. We had enough to say about this on the podcast that we kept it to ourselves until we sat down to record. I mean, we finished watching this film about
half an hour ago,
32 minutes ago in the cinema, and we're home already recording, which is great. That's a good turnaround for us. So
a shout out to Dublin's efficient public transport.
Exactly, getting us home on time. We only had to get on two different things to get home,
and only one other method was cancelled.
Yeah, exactly. So Mother's Instinct is a film directed by Benoit Delhomme, who was the cinematographer on stuff like One Day and The Boy in the Striped Pajamas and The Theory of Everything. And he is his first feature film as a director. And it's a remake of a film also called Mother's Instinct, directed by Olivier Massé de Passe, which is a French language film. And they're both based on a novel called Derrière la haine by Barbara Abel. Its initial release was in Lithuania on March 8th, 2024, and now it reaches the UK and Ireland. The film has no US release date so far. Despite starring two Oscar-winning actresses from the past decade, two actresses, I would say, like at the top of the industry.
These are A-list actresses.
A-list actresses who could probably get anything they want greenlit. And they are both producers on this film. So they have obviously put themselves out there on the line to get this made. Mm-hmm. And boy, what a treat they had for us.
Absolutely.
A 94-minute melodrama about child death that turns into a very exaggerated serial killer movie, kind of towards the end.
Yeah.
You want to outline the plot for us quickly?
Yeah, so two neighbors, Celine and...
if only Wikipedia had such information. Alice
and Celine. Yeah. Are neighbors.
Yeah.
In the 60s.
Yeah, they're talking about Kennedy, the 60s.
Yeah, they're talking about Kennedy. In the 60s, your typical drive a nice car, wear your flowery dresses.
Yeah.
Stay at home.
Boring husbands.
Husband goes off in his hat to his marketing job, probably.
Very...
Pharmaceutical job.
Any film now that has this perfect 60s Americana thing in it.
I kind of hate it.
Gives me Don't Worry Darling vibes. Where I feel like it's all an AI thing that's going to get...
Yeah, the world was never like that.
The world was never like that.
I think that was made up.
Yeah.
Anyway, best friends, they have two sons, 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
And one
child is significantly more beautiful than the other, so you know he's about to die. Like, there's a little ginger fucker, and then there's like a little perfect angel boy, and you're like, perfect angel boy.
The little perfect angel boy,
the
son of Anne Hathaway's character,
has a runny nose one day.
Stays home, and then decides to jump off a balcony.
And that gives his mother a runny nose forever.
Sure does.
He's trying to put up a bird feeder thing.
Yeah, he's kind.
He's such a kind angel.
He's up on the railing of a third-story balcony, like trying to reach out to a hook.
Yeah,
and Jessica Chastain sees him from her garden.
Yeah, he's Anne Hathaway's son. Jessica Chastain is in the other garden, sees him about to fall, starts screaming at him, but he doesn't listen and he falls anyway.
Yeah, she like runs around to the door of Anne Hathaway's house, starts knocking. She's your son is on the balcony, and they run up. And
this stuff's all in the trailer.
Yeah, this happens in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the plot is just the aftermath of Anne Hathaway's character dealing with her grief, and that grief turns into, I'm probably just going to kill everyone else.
Yeah, like an hour and 10 minutes in, the two women have a resolution.
Yeah,
they've been back and forth accusing each other.
The other child.
Yes,
the
Anne
the grandmother has died at this point already, and then the other child is like, okay, my best friend and my grandmother, who I love,
are both in heaven,
died, and you keep telling me they're in this wonderful place where nobody's fighting. I'm going to jump off and join them
because he's so sick of everyone bickering. So he tries to kill himself the same way that his friend died, and they have to stop him.
They stop him. Yeah.
The Anne Hathaway character starts to groom Jessica Chastain's son as her sort of adoptive child.
Yeah.
After the friend dies,
because
and then
they understand each other.
Yeah, they're first seen hugging and playing with a toy rabbit out in the garden, which is followed immediately by a completely insane funeral scene when the living child sees his toy rabbit in the coffin with the dead child and proceeds to start screaming at the top of his voice in the church, "That's my toy!" And his father has to smack him and drag him outside. It's brilliant. It's the only time and then Anne Hathaway comes back groveling, apologizing, and gives him back the rabbit.
Yeah.
In like the only scene in the film that kind of moved me is when she is like, "I didn't want my son to be alone. I'm sorry I stole your toy."
Yeah.
I actually thought that was like almost bordering on genuine emotional resonance for like 2 seconds before everything just went back in the other direction.
Oh God.
So
she's obsessed with this child.
She's obsessed with this child. She is hanging out with him more and more. Jessica Chastain then starts to believe that she's up to no good.
Yeah.
And Jessica Chastain
this starts off because she lets the son go and hang out with Anne Hathaway for a bit.
Yeah.
And Anne Hathaway takes him onto the balcony.
And they're like playing around with the
toys
balcony.
And and she freaks out and she's like, "What the fuck are you doing with my kid on the balcony?"
So she becomes convinced that Anne Hathaway is kind of low-key trying to kill her son. Then also her mother-in-law just collapses and dies hilariously. She's just seen like staggering like a zombie across the garden, and then they go out and she's dead.
She has a
she's a horrible woman.
She has a funny part in this where it's the living child's birthday, and Anne Hathaway shows up, and the grandmother's just like, "I don't think you should be here.
It's not appropriate. It's meant to be a happy day.
This is a family event."
She's a horrible woman, and she dies. Then Jessica Chastain becomes convinced. There's a scene like this film has big energy of the pills. Oh God, where are the pills? Which is something I love. Jessica Chastain starts rummaging through drawers for her mother-in-law's heart medication.
But they don't try and be too smart with it either. It is the pills.
Yeah, it is the pills.
It is the pills.
The pills is the thing. So
the pills have gone missing, and that is the problem.
Yeah, so the husband is like, "You fool! I had the pills the whole time in the car. Yeah. You're crazy. We're gonna have to lock you up again." And it turns out that Chastain has obviously had a past of psychosis or whatever.
Yeah, because her parents died in a car crash.
Her parents died in a car crash. She said she had issues with anxiety, which obviously developed into some sort of psychosis, and then she's basically like doesn't work.
She was institutionalized at a certain point.
So we then are led to believe, we keep flipping back and forth between thinking that she's crazy and thinking that Hathaway's crazy. So there's like 10 minutes there where you think that she's the crazy one because her husband is establishing that she's crazy. And then they go over to Anne Hathaway's house for dinner. And this is my favorite part, is when the boy is allowed to go into the kitchen to get a treat. The one thing we've learned is that he has a deathly peanut allergy, and there is a particular type of cookie he is not allowed to eat. And the boy walks out of the fucking kitchen because just choking for breath, holding the box of cookies. The stupid child.
But like, why did they leave cookies out?
Because Chastain is convinced then that Anne Hathaway has deliberately left the cookies and has tempted the child.
It turns out she has.
She has.
Yeah.
So basically, that's kind of the film up until the last 15 minutes when it is revealed that Anne Hathaway's character is a collector of chloroform bottles who likes to go around like the fucking community.
Oh, I roared.
It's like the Community episode where Annie keeps chloroforming everybody. It's unbelievable.
Oh no, she was in her husband obviously in a depressive state and just doesn't talk to her and is kind of an alcoholic. He's lying in bed
played by Josh Charles.
Yes. And she just goes up to his bed while he's asleep and then just kind of this incredible shot
Yeah.
of her hand rising out of the bottom of the screen
just going,
with the bottle of chloroform.
And they shoot chloroform in this film the way that Fast and Furious shoots Heineken bottles. It is product placement for Chloroform Incorporated. There was a later scene where Jessica Chastain is searching at Hathaway's house and finds a cabinet that just has like 20 bottles of chloroform and then 100 bottles of pills all lined up.
This is a story you write in like 6 weeks into your English class in first year of secondary school.
Exactly.
Like, I'm surprised this didn't end with, and then it woke up.
Exactly.
And it was all a dream.
It has a real young teenage kind of attitude to melodrama and how to up the stakes. Like,
but I really appreciate that, in a sense, that they don't try and double layer it.
No, exactly.
No, and
there's no metaphor. There's nothing. And like, easy film to compare it to: Salt, Burn. This is so much better, either intentionally or unintentionally, because it is not. Saltburn is like, everything was a twist. He was a killer the whole time, and it's all about the class system and all of this.
It's not,
but it's not at all. But then this film is just like, ooky spooky. Look what happened. Like, it's
women being
nothing.
crazy. Yeah, like
it's like trying to be Hitchcockian in how unsophisticated it is.
Yeah.
And you kind of do realize, well, this is kind of the magic of great thrillers from the 1950s and 60s, is that it's all surface level.
It's not, there's no confusion to the shock factor.
Yeah.
It relies purely on like just good kind of tense build up.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you can see everything coming and nothing is a surprise, but you're still...
at no point did I think Anne Hathaway was going to start chloroforming people.
No.
Like, that was a nice surprise.
That was a good
to it.
escalation of the
I
stakes.
thought it was going to follow a series of twists that I could have predicted going in from the trailer about the child died, this didn't happen, and they're crazy and she's crazy and all this.
She gets institutionalized.
And I thought the film was over, and then it kept going, and then the chloroform
just
showed up,
ramped
and I was
up.
like, this is great. But it didn't outstay its welcome either.
No, not at all. She just goes on a killing spree. Then she goes in then and she chloroforms Jessica Chastain and her husband while going up, and like...
Then there's this incredible... She gets the child to basically chloroform himself by turning into her character from Roald Dahl's The Witches.
Like, do you want to try my magic sleeping medicine?
It's incredible. She literally is doing her fucking character from The Witches in this, but much better than she was in the actual Witches. Scary witch lady with her potions. So the child chloroforms himself, but she doesn't kill him. And
is she in on the gag here?
Anne Hathaway?
Are either of them?
The chances of Anne Hathaway being in on the gag are much higher. I
I
think she has greater self-awareness than Jessica Chastain is, because she does comedy. Jessica Chastain does not do funny films.
Yeah.
She has never done a comedy performance, and I don't think that she understands the comedy beats that this film is operating on, whereas Jessica Chastain or Anne Hathaway has been in enough comedies that I think she gets it.
Anne Hathaway is so over the top in this.
Yes.
But it's like, that's also kind of what she's always like.
But it's the best version of what she's always like. It's the most hammy version of what she's good at.
Hammy.
Like, whereas Jessica Chastain, I think, is a better actress, better dramatic actress.
Sure.
Because she's a little bit less over the top.
Yeah.
Whereas Anne Hathaway is actually at her best when she's just allowing this to just like take over. I don't know. Because it's funny, and she's
like, if
funny.
If the performances are toned down 20% in this, and it tries to be more of a psychological analysis of grief and stuff, it's boring. It's boring.
Like, the reason we went is because the trailer had like 12 shots of the women just like screaming and crying, and we were like,
and children dangling from balconies.
We were like, sold. That looks like a fantastic time.
Great.
The husbands, we'll talk about the two actresses in a second, but the husbands are two very excellent actors.
Yeah.
And I think that the husband actors seem like they are in on the gag. Josh Charles doesn't have a whole lot to do as Anne Hathaway's husband.
Yeah.
He spends most of the film seeming very depressed. There is one incredible scene where he kind of shoves Jessica Chastain up against a wall when she's like searching his house. And they film their two faces pressed against each other. And the fucking beak on this man. Like, he is just... fucking, his nose is taking up like 50% of the frame, and he's just like, why are you in my house?
No, he's
not.
Do
you miss my boy?
Do you miss my son? Is what he said.
Do you miss my son?
Yeah, he's never like he's aggressive towards her, but he's not like...
It's all just about the child.
Yeah, it's all about the child.
Anders Danielsen Lee, who is a fantastic Norwegian actor,
star
of The Worst Person in the World and the other Joachim Trier films, Reprise and Oslo, August 22nd. A man that I have been in the same room as in a Dublin Film Festival once.
He does a lot of great eye rolling in this.
Oh, it's so good. He's playing an asshole who is sick of his wife, and
I know he's playing a man in the 60s who doesn't understand that
he doesn't seem like a horrible person.
No,
but he's just he's operating in a very outdated. My wife's behavior is exhausting kind of
He's
manner.
a real just relax.
Yeah.
Your son died, relax.
Yeah. The best part is when she runs into the room thinking the son has gone downstairs or whatever, and he is just I don't even know what face he made, but a lot of people
he just
were laughing.
Turn the lights on.
Yeah.
He's let me sleep.
It's very
Our
good.
son was in the bed with them. Yeah. I feel like we're rambling about this in a completely incoherent way. We're hysterical about it.
We're not doing the boy party structure.
No, we're not.
We'll get to it in a sec.
Yeah.
Do you think he's convincingly American in this? The best comparison I could think of was one of the Skarsgårds.
Sure.
When a Swede tries to be American. I found him more convincing as an American 60s man than I have ever found Stellan or Alexander Skarsgård.
Sure, but I also feel like the 60s is probably a good time to have these kind of half European guys in the States, because I'm sure a lot of them fled from Europe during the war.
Exactly. You could say that he is a son of Polish immigrants or a Polish immigrant himself, or someone who moved over as a child post-Holocaust from a more
it was jarring, not at all.
Yeah, I thought he was good. I don't think it was a great role for him. I'm just interested in what his career is going to look like, because I think he's fucking incredible in The Worst Person in the World. In Norwegian, obviously. I've never seen him act in English. He's obviously got all those actors from that movie are fluent in English and are going to get lots of Hollywood roles as a result. Renat Reinsve is in 3 films coming out this year, including a Norwegian zombie film that he's also in. But I thought it was a fun role for him. I don't know if this film is going to do well enough to boost his profile any more than it has already been boosted.
No, but he was also on screen with 2 of the biggest stars in Hollywood,
and for the whole film,
and he was completely
held his own. Exactly.
His own,
he did not there's so many actors like him of his generation, of his kind of casting group, that you could put in a film with 2 powerhouse actresses and they would just fall to the side. And he fully sort of kept the character in the mix.
This is I guess Don't Worry Darling is a similar thing to this.
It is a similar thing to this. Yeah, he's so much better in this than Harry Styles is in Don't Worry Darling.
Yeah.
And that's not even, that's unfortunate that that's the case.
Yeah.
So, the actresses in this film, Jessica Chastain and Anne Hathaway, they are, of course, in a very famous film together, Christopher Nolan's Interstellar, in which they share absolutely no scenes.
Yep.
They are existing in totally different
One's
spaces.
in space, one's on Earth.
Yeah. So, my whole take on that film is that Anne Hathaway is very badly cast, very bad in it. Unfortunately, Jessica Chastain is the best part of it. I find the Anne Hathaway character in that film is Christopher Nolan putting all of the subtext on
her.
No, he puts all the subtext on McConaughey, and he puts all of the text on her.
Yes.
Where she has to spell out the message of the film for the biggest idiot in the audience to understand. McConaughey is great in it. He is conveying so much with his reactions to things in terms of missing his children, missing Earth, and regretting his decision to leave his daughter. And Anne Hathaway is there with her snotty nose, blubbering away and going you don't understand. The meaning of the film is that love is the only thing that transcends time and space. Now, when I was 16, I was oh, it's so profound. And now I realize that that's bad screenwriting. You don't need to put the fucking message of the film in the text of the film in that way. No. People will figure it out for themselves. The entire film, like this film. Interstellar as a film is a massive metaphor for even when you go to outer space, your children will miss you and all this shit. You don't need a character there whose only purpose is to explain it and spell it out.
Yeah.
I don't think she's good in that film at all. Even when they get up with Matt Damon and they're kind of the thriller element kicks in, I don't think that she adds anything
is this kind of a case where Christopher Nolan sees that she's good when she's kind of going over the top and then tries to write that for her and then just fails?
I think that he just leans on her heavily to tick a box.
Yeah, and it's not...
And then Jessica Chastain is allowed to just be a cool character, a cool Christopher Nolan hero, the way that his male characters always get to be, Yeah. Jessica Chastain's character is solving science and maths and is saving the world down on Earth and all of this, and she's brilliant in it. I would say you could make a very good comparison between the Anne Hathaway character in Interstellar and the Emily Blunt character in Oppenheimer, where she has to spell out a lot of the stuff. She has to be like, Robert, it's terrible, the bomb, it's awful. And at the end has to be like, being a communist isn't so bad. Like she literally has to spell out the obvious for the stupid idiots watching the film, because Christopher Nolan knows there are idiots watching his films. There are other examples of this. There's obviously a lot of analysis of Christopher Nolan's writing of women, but I do think a lot of it does come down to he uses the women as a vessel for explaining emotional ideas that he doesn't think the audience will pick up on. I don't think Tenet a lot of emotional ideas. I guess the Elizabeth Debicki character kind of does that.
My son.
And then I guess those are kind of the main examples, because Dunkirk doesn't really have any women in it. So
yeah. Dunkirk works.
And the Batman films don't really have any women of significance. Although Anne Hathaway is great in The Dark Knight Rises in basically just a comedy performance. That's just, what if a woman was flirting with you while you were driving a car fast? I don't know. She's good in it in like a very standard traditional
cool
girlfriend part. Like she's good in it.
She's good.
So they've worked together once before, but obviously they've never actually worked together. But they do operate in the same circles very much. But weird to me that the year that Jessica Chastain has her huge breakout, 2012. So she's 2011. She is in Terrence Malick's The Tree of Life, which she is brilliant in, even though it's like barely a performance. She's kind of just... It's like somebody is... I mean, this is an
not
unfair...
about a child dying as well? Tree of Life
There's a lot of kids up in trees, but no one dies. They get beaten a lot.
Tree of Life
they well, the thing with her performance in The Tree of Life is that it's kind of like the best ever someone's in a Chanel commercial performance.
Right.
She spends most of that film sort of twirling, sort of walking on the beach, dancing a lot. It's very physical, and it's just kind of watching this actress that no one was really familiar with, watching her occupy
Team by
space, Team by Lord plays, and just being like, wow, what an angel. Like, and then immediately follows that up, and also in 2011 with The Help, where she gets an Oscar nomination for playing like the one nice white lady who actually needs help because has a miscarriage or whatever. Now, she is very similar in that film to in Mother's Instinct, I would argue. She's playing a 60s lady who gets very worked up about having kids, you know? So she's actually in loads of stuff in 2011. And then in 2012, she's in Zero Dark 30, and it's a big arrival. Everyone's like, here we are, Jessica Chastain, our great new leading lady. And she's Oscar nominated, and she has a very good... like lead up to the Oscars, like, oh, is she gonna win? She ultimately doesn't win, but Jessica Chastain Anne Hathaway wins in supporting. Am I saying the wrong names? I'm saying all the wrong names here. Anne Hathaway wins in supporting actress.
Yes.
It then takes for the Les Miserables, a film that she is in for like 15 minutes, and basically she shows up and she dies. And her death scene is the famous song "I Dreamed a Dream," famously performed by Susan Boyle on Britain's Got Talent, shot in close-up of her blubbering and her nose is snotting, and then she drops dead. And that's her role in the film. They gave her an Oscar. Fair enough. Is a bad role for her to have won an Oscar for in a not-so-great film, but I wonder how directly Susan Boyle was responsible for Anne Hathaway winning an Oscar. But it's funny that she wins, and then it takes Jessica Chastain 10 more years to win an Oscar, which just seems a little bit unfair. She gives lots of good performances in that time. She is nominated for The Help, Zero Dark 30, and then isn't nominated again until 2022 for The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
She didn't get a nomination for Molly's Game.
She didn't get a nomination for Molly's Game.
Not even Interstellar.
She definitely got nominated for Interstellar. Got basically no Oscar nominations apart from visual effects. Molly's Game, I agree. She should have got nominated for Molly's Game, although that's kind of a moment where I realized that maybe she wasn't. Even that film couldn't make me think that she was amazing. Like, I was like, she's good.
You got the Sorkin dialogue on that one.
Yeah.
And you're like,
I've never been totally sold on her as like a great lead. I don't know. Ms. Sloane is another fun one. That's one where she argues with Michael Stuhlbarg about gun control for 2 hours. A fun movie. Probably one of my favorite performances of hers. I do like her a lot in The Most Violent Year. I liked her a lot in the Scenes from a Marriage HBO miniseries with Oscar Isaac. But anyway, it's weird that it takes her 9 years to win an Oscar after Anne Hathaway does, when, in my opinion, she, was on the right track to get one around the same time. Anne Hathaway is 41. And Jessica Chastain is 47. So she's also older.
Yeah.
But she's been famous for less time. Anne Hathaway's been famous since The Princess Diaries.
Yeah.
Jessica Chastain has really only been famous since 2011, 2012. So maybe it would have been weird for her to win her Oscar the year after she got famous. I don't know. Do you want to guess who has a bigger box office? I'm just having a look.
Anne Hathaway.
So Anne Hathaway's total box office worldwide, $6.8 billion.
Really? Jessica
Chastain's $3.7 billion.
Both higher than I probably thought they would be.
Jessica Chastain's biggest hit is Madagascar 3, Europe's Most Wanted.
That's it. I was trying to think.
Followed quickly by a film that I completely forgot she was in, The Martian.
She's The Martian as well.
She's in The Martian.
2 years after.
A year after Interstellar. 1 year after.
1 year.
And then her fourth biggest film, I completely forgot she was in, It Chapter 2, which she is basically the lead of. And then X-Men Dark Phoenix, which came out the same year as It Chapter 2, in which she's the villain. And then The Help. And then she's in The Huntsman Winter's War, which is one of the most non-existent blockbusters ever. Not a lot of hits there. She makes a lot of mid-range movies, which I respect. Recently saw her with Josh Charles, also for Mother's Instinct, in the fabulous independent film Memory, which I really liked, with Peter Sarsgaard, where she played another kind of neurotic mother character, and Josh Charles plays a guy who's like causing her trouble. But that's a really good film and a really good performance. Anne Hathaway's biggest hits, I think we can guess pretty obviously, are The Dark Knight Rises, Alice in Wonderland. That's one I forgot about.
That meant like $1 billion.
That adds $1 billion to her total.
Yeah.
And then she's also in Rio 2. Okay. Almost $1 billion between the two of those. Les Mis did almost $500 million. The Devil Wears Prada, $326 million. Ocean's 8, Alice Through the Looking Glass, Get Smart, Valentine's Day, The Intern, Brokeback Mountain, both Princess Diaries, Bride Wars, Future Boy Party episode, Hoodwinked, Love and Other Drugs, all $100 million or more.
What's that up to? Like 15 films?
1,500
plus?
About 12 films, yeah. She's like much more of a star than Jessica Chastain is. Even though I think there's a higher proportion of people who dislike her.
Really?
Anyone who doesn't like Bradley Cooper doesn't like Anne Hathaway for the same reasons. Like,
I guess.
She's annoying in the same ways. I like them both.
I have a bad sense of Jessica Chastain because of Grace Randolph.
Grace Randolph creates a disproportionate amount of hostility on the internet for Jessica Chastain.
Yes.
85% of all dislike for Jessica Chastain in the world is contained within Grace Randolph's heart.
Yeah.
And she lets it bleed out everywhere.
Grace Randolph, a YouTube film reviewer who hasn't changed her visuals, let's say, since 2004.
You'd be surprised how often she changes her visuals. As someone who has watched since 2010, the entire name of the show has changed, to be honest. But yes, she hates Jessica Chastain with a passion. You can look up on YouTube, you'll find funny clips of how often she talks about her. She'll call her ugly, she'll call her crazy. She hates her so much.
Like kind of in the vein of this film.
Yeah, there's something about Grace Randolph that does kind of feel like the Waluigi to the Wario to Jessica Chastain. She's got a little bit of the same kind of thing, just in an evil way.
Jessica Chastain took something from her when she was a child.
Exactly. Or she ignored her once on the street.
Yeah.
There's something very personal going on there. Anne Hathaway is a person who, if I knew her in real life, I maybe wouldn't get on great with her. But she's in movies and she's very talented.
Yeah.
And she gave me the gift of Mother's Instinct. Yeah. So I'm not going to complain.
What is your favorite Anne Hathaway movie?
My favorite Anne Hathaway movie?
That was Dark Knight Rises.
I love The Dark Knight Rises. I think she's always good. She's almost always good. Like she's good in stuff like Get Smart. She's good in The Intern. I don't care for a lot of these, to be honest. Like she's good in Ella Enchanted. Very good. She's actually really good in Dark Waters, the movie where Mark Ruffalo finds out that there's chemicals in the water, where she literally just plays his wife.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Sarah Paulson role in The Post.
Okay.
But a little bit better. She's great in Rachel Getting Married, Jonathan Demme movie. Wasn't a fan of her performance in Armageddon Time, where she plays Jeremy Strong's wife, the mother of the kid. Two pretty bad performances there by her and Jeremy Strong.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll talk about her again on the podcast for sure.
Oh yeah.
Jessica Chastain, I'm not really sure we will.
Who else has she paired up with?
Oscar Isaac in A Most Violent Year.
Yeah.
The 355, which she produced, that weird experiment where they were like, what if we get 5 actresses from different countries?
The film that didn't come out.
Yeah, it did come out. It just took years to come out.
Rihanna's in it?
No, it just had Run This Town was using the trailer.
Oh, okay.
It's her, Lupita Nyong'o, Marion Cotillard, Penelope Cruz, and a Chinese actress who went missing before it came out. This film, of course, has our favorite type of billing for a boy party movie. Yep. One on the bottom left, one on the top right. I mean, you could almost, if you were us, you could have almost set the parameters of boy party that it could only be movies where the billing was done this way.
Yeah.
But I'd say it
just shrinks the list too much. It
shrinks the list so much. It might have only been done 50 times ever, if less. Like, but it is fun.
But then again, Anne Hathaway's name appears first. In the intro credits.
Are you sure it appears first?
It does appear first.
Or did we just not notice Chastain's name? No, it was up in the corner.
It appears
did
first.
It? So,
and then the Chastain fades.
Interesting. So it appears first, and her name is first on the poster.
Everything I've seen seems to imply that Hathaway just has the tiniest bit of an edge.
Tiniest bit, yeah. But it's funny that Hathaway's name is first on the poster when Chastain's name is first alphabetically by surname.
Yeah.
Now, one could argue that they were doing it alphabetically by first name, in which Anne would be first. But then Jessica Chastain came up first on the end credits.
She did.
They're trying to alternate it as much as possible.
Yeah.
Who is the protagonist of the film? It's Chastain, just about.
It's more... because...
Who has more screen time? Chastain. I think it's equal.
Like,
maybe Chastain by an edge.
I feel like more of the film takes place in Chastain's house just by virtue of it's her child that's alive.
Her child is still alive. Certainly, Anders is in the film much, much, much more than...
Oh, yeah. Mr. Charles.
Josh Charles.
Yeah.
Now, Josh Charles is hiding for a lot of the scenes.
He's away on business, and he's in his room drinking.
Even when they're in his house.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say Chastain's in it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Hathaway is in the first few scenes of the film more, which kind of leads you to believe she's going to be the main character. But then she disappears, and she's kind of shown from a distance for a lot of it. And
then it ends, you never see like Hathaway arguing with her husband, really.
Yeah, it ends on her becoming a villain, which kind of by default makes Chastain the hero. But
Chastain was right in the end.
She was right, but like Chastain's death scene is done so casually that you're kind of like, oh, not much of a protagonist. Like,
I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever.
No, it kind of is a Chastain.
Who's though given the better performance? Yeah, I guess Anne Hathaway kind of is just because her character is more fun.
I guess, but like I don't know if I like her.
I don't know if she's good in it or not. But the performance is more. We enjoyed it more. We got more out of it.
I don't know. Can Hathaway do? Can she do a more toned down version of that if she needed to?
I don't know.
Or is that just her default setting?
I have no idea.
In this.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I'm not sure if I like her or not in movies. I like her. Yeah. I think she's great.
Fair enough. I think that there's a version of this film made 20 years ago where Nicole Kidman plays the Jessica Chastain character.
Yeah.
And I wonder who plays the Anne Hathaway character. I guess like Cate Blanchett. I don't know.
Maybe.
Like in the version of this 20 years ago, is it Blanchett and Kidman?
Well, who played like princesses and stuff 30 years ago?
30 years. I don't know about 30 years ago. I don't know what they made 30 years ago in the early 90s. I haven't a clue.
Who was like a 20-year-old actress in the 90s?
Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
And Cate Blanchett.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
But I think that these actresses aren't in their 20s though. But I think that
no, but I mean, if you forward it to the 2000s when you're...
I think that this film is what people think Big Little Lies is when they haven't watched it, you know? Anything with multiple famous actresses that looks a bit melodramatic. And it's like, no, this is unusually crazy. This is like fucking Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. This is as close as we get to Whatever Happened to Baby Jane shit in 2024, released by a proper, like released in cinemas, you know?
Does this work if like you don't have the star power behind it?
No, of course not.
No, if this is like Reese Witherspoon and Blake Lively, like...
Well, Reese Witherspoon is a bigger star than either of these actresses.
Really?
That's a terrible example.
Yeah, I guess
Reese Witherspoon makes more money for every movie she's in than either of these actresses. Maybe both of them combined. She is an Academy Award winner. I don't know. Yeah. This is a terrible example.
I have a lower
if it's Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick, stars of A Simple Favor.
Yeah.
Well, then this movie is called A Simple Favor. Right.
Good film. Go and see it.
The poster, the main one that's being used here is the one with there's just a photo of Jessica Chastain peeping out from behind a door and a photo of Anne Hathaway with her hand on a curtain. And it says, sometimes it's the only thing you can trust, mother's instinct. I don't really know who the audience for this film is. Gay men and Irish Times readers. I don't know.
Will women be into this?
Depends on the woman.
Like, would my parents watch this?
My parents would never watch this in a million years.
My parents would watch it, so
yeah, maybe.
It's
far too broad for my parents.
Yeah,
they would never watch something with people this famous in it with no character
we
actors.
went to a special screening of this where people were invited, and there were seemed to be what was it like?
There was people who work at like a shop of like vintage women's clothing. Yeah,
so
Dublin.
they came dressed like the characters.
I don't know what their vibe was during the film.
The woman beside me was like, I can't remember the last time I went to the cinema.
Oh, right. Okay. So this is a treat for them. And they got cocktails beforehand.
We got cocktails.
So they were delighted with themselves.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
I hope they tell their friends to go see it.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Effective PR going on right there.
Like we were laughing.
Yeah, we were laughing, but other people were laughing too.
Yeah, everyone else started laughing.
Half the cinema was laughing. Most laughter I've heard in a cinema since 4 weeks ago when we went to see Madam Web.
Which is good.
It is good.
The way I think, like, if Anne Hathaway and Jessica Chastain were in the back of the screening,
yes,
would they be upset that we're laughing?
I think
that's kind of the key question.
One of them would be and one of them wouldn't be, but I can't tell you which is which.
No, I can't either.
And that's unfortunate.
Yeah. The boys would be laughing too.
The boys will be laughing too. Anders would definitely be laughing. All right. Credits game. Time for the credits game. Credits game. So, I'm going to quiz Shane on the credits of a movie starring one of the girls from this Girl Party movie, and he is going to have to guess the name of the film before I get to the top of the credits. And I am going
we don't keep track of any of this. It's just for fun.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't have particularly easy ones for you here, but the other issue with this game is I always try and pick one that we haven't already mentioned.
Okay.
That really limits it. Okay. So, this film stars in reverse order. Oh shit, I'm lost. Sorry. I'm literally lost. Give me a sec. All right. This movie stars Brian Darcy James. Doing a year?
Yeah.
2019.
Okay.
Brian Darcy James. Scott Shepherd. Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh.
Cody Smith-McPhee.
Okay.
Jessica Chastain. We still have a lot of names left to go.
Sorry, how far down are we?
8, 9.
Interesting.
Evan Peters.
Jennifer Lawrence is like ninth build.
Yep. Evan Peters.
Okay.
Alexandra Shipp.
Yeah.
Michael Fassbender.
Okay, we'll pause there for a minute. A 2019 Michael Fassbender vehicle.
4 names left to go.
Go on.
Ty Sheridan. Nicholas Hoult.
Huh.
There's a reason you're not getting this. It's a corner of culture you do not engage in.
Is it IP of sorts?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is this one of the X-Men?
Correct, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Fassbender and Nicholas Hoult, of course.
This
is X-Men Days of Future Past.
No. I named this 10 minutes ago.
The Order of the Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix.
The film's actually not called X-Men Dark Phoenix. The film is just called Dark Phoenix. Stupid.
Oh, so the lead is herself.
Sophie Turner.
Oh.
James McAvoy.
Yeah.
Who did you think the lead was? Famke Janssen.
No, I'm getting mixed up. I thought there was a Marvel crossover here where it's Elizabeth Olsen.
She plays Scarlet Witch in the MCU.
Scarlet Witch.
This is Fox. This is Fox Marvel.
Okay.
This has nothing to do with the MCU.
Oh, I thought there was just a weird
No.
clash of ownership rights or something.
That's only happened in the last like 2 years.
Okay.
This is the last X-Men film released by 20th Century Fox.
Yeah.
It is watchable. Thanks to people like Jessica Chastain.
I remember seeing the trailer for this.
Yeah. Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, and Jessica Chastain. It's hard to make a film that isn't at least somewhat watchable.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's kind of it. Are we on a short episode today?
That's our Mother's Instinct episode, folks.
There's no box office. It hasn't come out yet.
No, it hasn't come out yet.
I just want to do the Argentinian box office.
It was released in Lithuania, and it's out in UK by Studio Canal, and Neon apparently has the US rights.
So that'll come out. Yeah, of course. It's going to come out.
It'll come out at some point. So you can go see it if you want.
Yeah.
Its total box office gross is $12,000.
Bring your friends.
I think that's just from Lithuania. Bring your friends. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week with more Boy Party. And get home safe and text us when you get home.
And trust your Boy Party instinct.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.